Welcome back to the poker vlog. This is episode number 187, and we're creeping up on 200. And I just realized December 2nd was my 5th year of doing this, so that's by far the longest job I've ever had. Anyway, you guys are going to enjoy this one. Let's go ahead and get started. After losing $10,000 previously in a high stakes session, I took a few weeks off from filming, but I recovered all that money and confidence. I'm back in the Las Vegas streets, and I'm excited to be properly filming a session for the vlog again. Nothing can stop me, except miles of traffic. Eventually, I make it to the Bellagio poker room. It's actually the first time I've been here to play since the big loss. I buy into 510 for 1500, which is the max. We get seated, then a few minutes in, we're put to the test. We pick up ace-queen offsuit on the button in a straddle pot. We're playing 6-handed at the moment, and the cutoff opens at 50. I can mix in calling or 3-betting. I go with a call this time. The under-the-gun straddler also calls. We're going 3 ways to the flop in position. It comes queen jack 9 with 2 diamonds. We've got top pair on a coordinated board and multiple opponents. Under-the-gun checks. The cutoff isn't concerned about getting a bet through a gauntlet of players. She makes it 100 to go. She probably shouldn't be doing this very often as a bluff with complete air because chances are good someone else is going to have a piece and will call. I've got a piece, so I make the call. Under the gun also calls. He was the straddler and has a much wider range than the cutoff or us. I'm not as worried about him currently having us beat. I'm more concerned about the cutoff at the moment. The turn is the 5 of spades. It's a blank. Under the gun checks. Cutoff slows down and also checks. There are a couple things going through my head right now. Under the gun would have probably check raised on the flop with a hand better than ace-queen, and I doubt the cutoff would check the turn with 2 pair better. There's some chance the cutoff could have the same hand as me or potentially aces or kings, but I don't want to give anyone a free card if they're on draws or have king-queen or queen-10. If the river's a blank, I won't be able to extract value from misdraws at that point either. I need to charge everyone now. I bet 300 to take control of the pot. If I get called, I'll check back almost every river. Under the gun folds. Cutoff isn't going anywhere. She calls. It's down to heads up, and the river is the 8 of hearts. Any 10 makes it straight. The cutoff has this look on her face that I've seen before on women who receive appliances as their main Christmas gifts. She doesn't appear to be happy about the run out. It checks to me. I'm not sure if I can get called by anything worse on this board, and my hand has value, so I don't necessarily need to turn it into a bluff. I check back, hoping that we're up against king-queen or a hand containing the ace of diamonds. The cutoff reveals that she has the ace of diamonds, but it's accompanied by another ace. She's got the winner. My world is wrecked by someone who had 2 bullets ready for me. We're not far into the session, and I'm already down several $100s. After adding on, I'm getting right back in the ring with ace-10 of hearts. I'm under the gun. I open to 30. The cutoff calls. The button calls. The big blind also calls. We're going 4 ways to the flop. It's queen-queen-7 rainbow with 1 heart. We don't have much except 1 over and some backdoor draws. The big blind checks. I check. The cutoff bets 50. It's a small amount. He could be taking a stab at it with all kinds of hands. The button and big blind fold. I call 1 time to see if we can pick up some equity. It's heads up. The turn is the jack of clubs. We at least have a gutter. I check. The cutoff doesn't take too long before he reaches for chips and bets 90. A lot of times when people bet quickly without thinking much about sizing, they don't tend to be too strong. The fact that the cutoff is bet on the smaller side twice makes me believe that he could be weaker as well. I don't really want to call or fold. I go with my read that the opponent doesn't have trips or better, and I raise it to 320. My line doesn't actually make a ton of sense unless I have a hand like Jiggity's, but the guy I'm up against is a recreational player and might not be able to put all the pieces together. If he calls, hopefully any ace or king will give me the winner. Ultimately, the opponent folds. We get the bluff through to take down a medium-sized pot. The play was a bit on the reckless side. Still, going with my instincts works out, and we're heading in the right direction to get to Profitville. The very next hand, we're dealt ace-king offsuit in the big blind. Under the gun limps in. Under the gun +1, raises to 40. The cutoff calls. The button is trying to start a war. She 3-bets at 240. This is a different opponent from the one who got me with rockets. This is a strange situation for me. Under the gun could have limped in with a strong hand while planning to limp 3 or 4-bet. Under the gun +1 is going to have a narrow range when he raises from early position, especially with another player already in. The button believes she's got something even better than under the gun +1. I could be beat by any or all 3 of those players. Honestly, I don't even hate folding. I mean, I'm not going to do that, but I don't super hate it. Cold calling 240 and playing out of position against somewhere between 1 and 4 other players sounds bad. Instead, I put in the 4-bet to 800. Almost half my stack is at risk to win a few hundred. I really hope no one jams on me because there's no way I can fold for 900 more, but I'll pretty much always be behind or tying at best if someone 5-bet rips it. It at least folds back to the button quickly. She's got some questions for me.
Do you have any other black tips?
I started the hand with about 1,700.
The opponent continued on to ask me what my blood type is, and if cereal is a soup. I have no idea why she had so many questions, but my answers eventually lead to her folding. I'm good with that outcome. I was prepared to get it in, but I'm glad to take it down without having to make a pair. We're almost back to even for this session. There's some more work to be done though. In this one, we've got King 8 of hearts in the small blind. The cutoff raises to 30. This is the same opponent who 3-bet and then folded to my 4-bet in the previous hand. I call, we're heads up out of position against a very inquisitive person. The flop comes 9-7-5 with 2 spades and 1 heart. We've got a gutter, 1 over, and a backdoor flush draw. It seems like a lot for actually having very little. I check. The cutoff puts in a C-bet for 40. That's a reasonable amount. I call one time. The turn is the 6 of diamonds, giving us the straight. We used to have a little, but now we have a lot. No matter where we go, we know where we came from. I'm worried that if I check, it'll get checked back. I lead for 100. Sometimes I'll do this as a bluff. I like doing it for value better though. The cutoff calls. Perhaps she has a set, 2 pair, top, or a flush draw. The river is the ace of clubs. I should still have the best hand. I go for the home run, betting 400. If I was bluffing with a missed draw, that's around the sizing I'd go with as well. I haven't shown down any hands after this point, and I put in a check raise that actually was a bluff, a cold 4-bet against the same player. Now I've taken a somewhat strange line here. Sometimes players get fed up with aggressive play and eventually call to theoretically keep you honest. After some agonizing over the decision, the price ends up being too high, the cutoff folds. We get the victory in another pot that isn't huge, but these small and medium ones are adding up. We're in the black for the first time today and are looking to improve. We pick up King-Queen offsuit under the gun +1. It's at the very bottom of my early position opening range. When there's lots of 3-betting, I'll occasionally fold it. I'm not too worried about anything at this table. I raised to 30. The big blind's the only caller. She's got to get some revenge on me for the last couple hands. We're heads up in position. The flop comes King-10 full rainbow. The big blind checks. Most of the time I'll bet. In this case, I check back for deception. The only real draw to be concerned about is Queen-Jack. I have a queen, making it less likely that I'll be up against that. Checking back allows the opponent an opportunity to bluff at the pot on the turn, or will perhaps help her justify calling lighter on future streets. The turn is the 5 of clubs. The big blind checks again. It's very unlikely that she'll be strong after checking twice. I bet 40, expecting to get a fold pretty often. The big blind does what she wants and makes the call. The river is another 5. It's possible that I let the opponent get there to make backdoor trips. She checks immediately, which is kind of suspect. My hand is just too good to not bet for value. Given my history with the player and my line so far, I imagine I'll get called by a variety of worse holdings, including a pair of 10s, maybe 4s, possibly even as light as ace high. I bet 100. I think the player may have finally reached the breaking point when it comes to folding against me. She calls, I turn over the winner. You never see what the opponent had, but it took her 20 seconds to call. With how the hand played, it was probably with second pair or worse. At this point, a viewer at the table lets me know that he's moved out here to play poker professionally, and I'm always happy to encourage that.
Now I'm trying to do this.
Nice. Everyone's very happy who does this for a living.
Yeah. Are you serious or joking?
Joking. I'm actually quite happy now, but that's only because I've got pocket 3s and I'm ready to triple barrel bluff someone. I raised a 30 from the hijack. The small blind just got back from a break and bought the button. He calls for 20 more. We're heads up in position. The flop comes ace queen 5 rainbow. My opponent has been 3-betting a lot pre-flop. Since he didn't in this hand, he won't have aces or queens and probably won't have ace queen or maybe even ace 5 suited, since that frequently gets selected for the 3-bet bin. He checks. I can have all kinds of strong hands on this board. I bet 20 to possibly clear out some hands better than mine, like any small to medium pocket pairs. The opponent somewhat surprisingly calls. The turn is the king of diamonds. It's another card that's better from my range. I can still have pocket kings, ace king and jack 10, although the small blind can have jack 10 as well. He checks. An underpair to a board that favors me as the pre-flop aggressor seems like a good candidate to continue bluffing with. I'm probably dead to 2 outs though. I bet 50 to maybe get a fold out of a queen. I haven't bet large amounts. It should look like I'm trying to get value. Evidently, I didn't make it enough. The small blind calls. The river is the 7 of hearts. We've got 6th pair, which is an interesting situation. Poker books don't tend to dedicate many chapters to 6th pair scenarios, especially after there's been betting on the flop and the turn. I'm kind of just winging it here. The small blind checks. He didn't check raise the turn like a lot of players would with a straight. He's almost never going to have sets of aces, kings, or queens. He's never going to have ace king. He most likely has an ace and a bad kicker. If we check back, will almost certainly lose. There has to be an amount that'll get an ace to fold. The opponent is a good player. He knows that I have the range advantage. What amount would I make it with a set or a straight? 140 seems like a solid number. It's quite a bit more than I made it on the turn, but it's still only 70% of the pot. The small blind is visibly frustrated. He folds, allowing us to get another bluff through. This has been a scrappy session. I got stuck 600 early on, and even since then, I haven't really had too many strong hands. Instead, I've had to maneuver around in order to steal some pots. The session's winding down, there's a new dealer, everyone needs to pay $7 for time. Instead, we're doing a $30 bomb pot, and the winner pays the whole $49 for the table since we're 7-handed. We look down at Queen 6 suited in the small blind. I haven't won a bomb pot all night. I'd like that to change. Flop comes King 7-6 with 2 spades. Not looking good, at least it checks around. The turn is the 10 of spades. It's getting worse, but it checks around once more. We still have a shot. The river is the Queen of hearts. We drill 2 pair. There's still lots of 2 pair and straight combos that beat me. Since no one bet on the flop or turn, it's unlikely that one of the opponents will have a set or a flush. I bet 100 for value. A really nice young lad who's a viewer from Ireland makes the call on my left. The other players all fold. We've got the winner.
2 pair.
I'll get you in there. Shay, right?
Okay.
What's your name again?
Christian.
Christian. Nice.
Thanks, dude.
Shay called with Queen Deuce in an attempt to bluff cat some Bradley dollars, then bring them back to the land of saints and scholars. I feel bad because upon his arrival, his entire village would have done the river dance in celebration. It was not to be though. We get the win and rack up for the night. I played 3 hours today, started kind of late, started at 12:30 a.m. and I got stuck $600 right away, so really glad to get out of the hole. Ended up winning $400, got the bluff through with ace 10 and the pocket threes. Ace 10, I'm not sure how good of a play that is, but pocket threes I felt pretty confident about. And then there weren't really a ton of big hands, but just this is the first time I've actually played at Bellagio in the last 3 weeks. Last time I played here, I lost 10K. Since then, I played 6 sessions that I didn't film. I got all the 10K back, and yeah, this is the first session that I filmed since that last one. And I feel pretty good. I feel like I played well. The game wasn't like particularly easy, so just glad to get out of there with a win since, you know, I got wrecked on the last vlog that you guys will have seen. That's it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like and subscribe buttons because it helps out the channel a ton. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to let me know in the comment section and I'm happy to get back to you. This episode, I'm just gonna be honest, not the most exciting. We didn't really get into any huge hands, but I think it's important to show these because this is kind of what an average session is, particularly if you don't play a lot of hours. You know, sometimes you don't really make sets, sometimes you don't make full houses or get premium pocket pairs, as was the case in here. And I got stuck $600. I was really happy to get out of the hole, given the cards that I was dealt. Had to get creative in some spots and took some chances trying to pull off some bluffs. Luckily those worked out. But stick around because the next several episodes, I filmed a lot in November, so I'm looking forward to putting together those vlogs, especially like the next 2 or 3. And there are a ton of interesting hands in those. It's gonna take a lot of effort for me, but really enjoying putting the vlogs together. I mentioned in the beginning that I've been doing this for 5 years now. I hope to be doing it for another 5 years at least. And I just appreciate everybody who's been here watching from the beginning. So thank you very much. Good luck at the tables, guys. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time.